running from a mass murderer. Your only companion is the last person you texted, and your only weapon is whatever currently closest to your left hand.
Okay. It's Dominic, my buddy Dominic LeRae. He's another actor. And I think with Dominic, I would survive, thank God, because I think the person right below him, I would not have survived. Um, let's just put it that way. Um, and yeah, like I got
Uh-oh, we have a cup of tea. Oh shit! What the hell is that? Oh,
it's a stand for your iPad. So I could probably beat like a killer with this, like over the head, like it's one of these like tripod things. I don't know, stick this in an eye,
oh my god,
right?
yeah. Hello, we have Marieh Delfino here.
Hello,
Woo! Okay,
hello.
I got a thing. Actor, mother, supermodel. Because dude, you're gorgeous, and
Oh,
producer, developer. That's what I want to ask you about. Developer, Libra, and Latina. Come on,
y
but
Latina.
Latina. So developer, I found that. I said, well, I gotta say this, and I gotta ask you, what did you develop? What is this? What is a developer?
So, and like it's so LA, right? To be so multi hyphenate of like random things. It's like I'm also a
Exactly.
shoemaker
Yeah.
and, it's like
Right.
I
Right.
have my own printing press because it's just a hobby. No, I grew up in a development family. So my and they didn't get together. This was not the romance, but on my dad's side of the family, there's like a cement company that's been in the family for years, and they in Venezuela, and they built like half of Venezuela, like highways,
Oh
like
wow.
the
Okay.
the tallest skyscraper in South America until like sometime in the 90s, my grandfather built. So that side of the family. And then my mom's side of the family, her dad was a contractor. He was a civil engineer who had a contracting business. So he would flip houses and make these community developments and that sort of thing. And my mom, would do it like sort of willy nilly while I was growing up. They would flip an occasional house here and there. So, and every house that we lived in eventually got flipped. And so I kind of grew up like watching construction sites. And my mom ended up becoming like a badass real estate agent, like later in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like within 2 years became like number nine in the country of all the Caldwell bankers. Yeah, she's a shark. And
Nice.
but in the meanwhile, like my first house, my parents helped me buy. I put some money. I had some money saved from Jeepers and all my acting work, and they, helped co-sign and everything. And we bought this little, like, nasty little bungalow that, like, my friends were like, "You're crazy, run, don't buy this." And we developed it together, and then I flipped it, and then me and my now husband got together, and we knew like pretty early on we were going to end up being married and having a family. And I said, listen, we could buy something together, something small, something that doesn't look. And he was scared of it at first, very very scared of it. And we bought something that looked like a crack den, like for real, in Venice, for a
Oh,
very
okay.
very low price, that we just did
Right.
it on our own. And I flipped it for just the right timing in the market, quite a bit of money. And then from there, I did two. And so I've done a couple of those, mostly in Venice. My house that I
Wow.
live in right now, it was the first project that I did that I did not hire any contractors because I watched enough, to save money and to like do it right.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically played the contractor and subcontracted all like framers,
Oh, okay.
the foundation makers, all that kind of thing. Easier to do before, and still being an actress, like I booked the invitation while I was building this house, so it was crazy time, and was working for a company they were having me develop a script for them. So I was like, firing on all cylinders. Then I have a baby, and I think I can return to all of that. And I quickly crashed and burned and realized, like, I got to pick my lanes here. um
Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm one
Dang,
of those
woman.
people who likes to stay busy and doing a lot of
Yeah.
things. And
I was trying to figure out. I like to start this, by introducing you, but also trying to figure out how I know you. Who introduced me to you?
Yeah,
What?
how did we I just remembered that amazing like coffee we had, and I was like, "Okay, I like this girl. Okay, we get each other. Like this is going to be
Yeah.
good." But who brought us
But
together?
I don't know.
Jameson Jones. Jameson.
Oh, okay.
Jameson is friends with Randy, and he told Jameson about this project, and
Okay.
Jameson had just finished working on The Womb, and he was like, "Oh, I know this great actress," and wrote me wonderful, recommendation about me and put us together. And
Ah, okay.
so
Okay.
Randy told me about it, and I was like, "This sounds really interesting." And so
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
I went and met with you.
I just I love strong actresses, and especially acting opposite them, but also directing them, because then not only do you have less to do, but also it's just amazing to give you like my work, and you just go off and you play and you do it, because a lot of the times, like I was talking to Randy about this, is uh being a writer, I get anal about, like I'll give you the character, and I don't know if you remember this, how I gave you the backstory, what
Yes,
your
I love
animal is.
that.
I'm so anal, but I'd like you to take that and then you go do what you will with it. It's
You
like,
made life easy for me. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you kind of like, you did a good amount of the work for me, just telling me that so I didn't have to make it up for myself. And I loved the animal, and kind of playing with the physicality of that. So
yeah.
it was one of the things that I loved about working with you and how passionate you are about your work and what you do, whatever aspect you're doing.
And that's important too, because like I was telling Randy, like I'm anal that way. I give it to you, but then I have faith as you being a strong actor. When I say actor, I mean actor, actresses, whatever.
Yeah.
Strong actor, and you just go with it, because, like I told Randy, I got like 17 people up in here, and
Yes.
I just want you to just take it and go away with it. So that was good, and especially with something like Freebird, where it's such a huge ensemble cast, and so amazing. But just for people, you are like a horror queen, okay? Jeepers Creepers too. There's so many. I have, like, I'm looking at your thing here. So many. But let me tell you something. I went to this thing in El Paso. There was these two young fellas there, and they're just, when you meet people that are just so into film, and they're a little green, but they're hungry. They just want to do stuff.
Yes.
And then there was a question going, what film could you see over and over again? The Invitation. He's like, I
Ah,
love that movie so much, and I watch it over and over again, and I'm just like, I want to say, like, well, I
yeah.
know somebody in that, but yeah, I mean, do you find people come up to you and say, "Oh my God, I know you from Jeepers," or "I know you from The
Every once in a
Invitation"?
while. Yeah, every once in a while. And surprisingly, this one movie that I did that was like, you know, considered a queer film, uh, Xerophilia. And just recently, there was a screening of it in UK, London, and me and the director zoomed in to London after the screening for like Q&A. But people have like recognized me like in shops from that, and then definitely Jeepers Creepers and The Invitation. It's not like a ton, but every once in a while, I'll be like, I'll hear like, you were The Invitation. Did you survive? Did you die? I get that question all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And was that considered like a low budget invitation, the movie Invitation, or was it a
I,
medium budget, or
I think it was considered low budget. Yeah,
yeah?
I think so. I think the budget was like $2 million, $1 million. What's considered low budget?
Yeah, I think nowadays anything under five is low budget, but
Yeah, so I think it was something like somewhere between 1 and 2 million. I
yeah,
think we made scale plus 10. Um,
one location, right? One
one
location.
location.
Yeah, yeah. One location is where you can cut costs, and what you're going to spend your money on is going to be for the acting and for the
Yes.
crew.
And,
Um.
and they gave us a week before a rehearsal.
Oh
That
wow.
that was really nice because I mean, Karen's amazing. She's brilliant, and she's a team with her husband, and they were such an amazing team of people to work with. Um, but she wanted to make sure all the camera moves. She wanted rehearsal to be on camera rehearsal with the DP. So all the camera moves, all the angles, all of that was choreographed beforehand. Particularly all the scenes that we rehearsed I think mostly or only the scenes that were in the living room, because there was so
Hmm.
much in the living room, and they move in and they move out, and different parts of the movie that was in there. So we rehearsed all that so that the following weeks, we could boom, 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 get it out. And we had, I believe, we worked only Monday through Friday, had the weekends off. Um, and we did it in 4 weeks. Because if I'm remembering, it was important to her that, we don't work on the weekend. She's like, it burns actors out, burns
Yeah. Yeah.
burns everyone out. And, I think part of the money was, because of that. So we could have rehearsals, so we could have weekends off, you know. I
Wow.
wonder today, because that was shot in 2014, came out in
Hmm.
2015. So I wonder today, post, apocalypse, COVID, and, everything else, you know,
Uh-huh.
would,
Could you?
what would that budget be? I feel like that budget would be more like in the 3 million, maybe even more. I mean, I feel like it
Yeah.
would be much higher. And little trivia, I I read the script the night before I had this audition, and I worked on my lines and read part of it, but then like read really carefully the script and went to sleep. And I had my little black Pekingese Maud. 7 a.m. I'm like, I gotta meet the Jimmy guy, and then I have this audition that I'm so excited about. Like I felt like something really special about this movie. I just felt really good about it. And Venice, the alleys are very, very narrow. I don't know if you've ever
Hmm.
seen the Venice alley. So I pull
No.
out my car, from the parking into the alley, and I'm sort of like harried, and I don't yet have my seatbelt on because I'm like pulling out, and my Pekingese suddenly like jumps on top of me, and I wasn't expecting it. And I jerk my car just a little bit, and there's these low steel poles in the ground, and so I hit one, and apparently, because I don't remember, I went flying, hit the windshield with my head. Thank God I wasn't going very fast. I was just pulling out. I just remember hearing a scream, which was the dogs, and feeling something here. I think when I hit the steering wheel coming back down, my neighbors came out and like woke me up, and I was like, oh my God, I got to get to the Mason. I have an audition. And they're like, you were just passed out. Look, you cracked the windshield. And I was like, I have an audition.
You
And
have
they're like, you need to call somebody.
and a concussion and a yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes. I was
Wow.
like, oh my God. Okay. And I called my mom. I'm like, listen, mom, this thing happened. And she's like, I got to take you to the doctor. Call the doctor. And I call the doctor. I'm like, look, this thing happened, but I have an audition. And they're like, you have a concussion. So like, I walked to to meet the Mason because I have a car's not working now. So I walked with my dog with a concussion, walked back. My mom picked me up. I'm like, no, we're going to the audition first. She's like, we go to the doctor. I'm like, no, I will miss my audition. We went to the audition, and it was at Karin's house, and there was a mix up. My agents told me the wrong day. It wasn't that day, it was the next day.
Oh my God.
But Karin, the casting director, wasn't there, but Karin was there and her assistants. They're like, fuck it. We're just going to audition you now. And it put me on tape and whatever. Went to the doctors afterwards, find out I'm concussed. I can't sleep that night, whatever. The next day, I am so concussed.
Oh.
I cannot even like write a check. I can't think of like, I can't spell. Like, I am out of it. And then, a week later, we had rehearsal. And so I was in rehearsal, and I was kind of like the dumb blonde. And I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want people freaking out that I had a concussion. And, you just have to get over it. And people would make jokes or whatever. And I didn't get anything, and I'd be really slow to respond.
Oh
And
my
I think they
God.
thought like, oh, this one's a little slow. And then we had like a cast dinner, like right before we are going to start like principal photography. And then I was like, hey guys, I gotta admit something to you. And they were like, we noticed like that you were. So yeah.
And that's, ladies and gentlemen, how we do it in LA. I mean,
Mm,
come on, that's how you do.
mhm.
It. That's what you do.
The
You
show must go on,
the
baby.
show must go, concussed or not. You got to get that audition in. Wow, that's amazing. That
Yeah.
is crazy. How did you? Before we get into questions, how did you get into that genre? Did you just fall into it, or is that you thought, hey, no, I'm going to be good at horror
I
because
just
not everybody can do horror. I'll tell you that.
I know, and I just fell into it. It's like one of those things. I think because I do, have like a strong female presence, so it's nice to have like a strong kind of female with my kind of voice. I don't know. I always wonder why those are the things that I booked quite a bit. And I think once you book one, if you get especially one like as iconic as Jeepers Creepers, that's like the series and it's so beloved, then you're kind of known in that world, so people want you for that. You know how that is.
It's sort of like the Jamie Lee Curtis, just doing that, but also, and then she's now that she's gotten older, she's gotten to sort of spread out. But I'm just
I love
curious, like,
her.
what? Oh, you know what? And I will fight anyone on this. In the last showgirl, she
She
made
made
me cry.
broke my heart.
She
I
made
went
me.
to the screening of it in CAA, so she was there.
Oh,
She is like an amazing person. Just the way she talked to all of us in the audience, how she was in the Q&A, how like loving and caretaking she was of Pamela Anderson.
yeah.
Like she's an amazing woman, like really incredible woman, and she broke my heart in that movie.
Oh
And
yeah.
the dancing, the
I
whole
was just gonna say the dancing, and my mom was watching with me. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "You don't get it. You don't get it. That her dancing meant so much. It's
so
like
much.
first movie you ever saw in the theater, and does it still hold up?"
Okay, so this is aging me, because
Oh
really I
yeah,
have
I'm way
fantasies
older
at
than you.
night,
Stop.
fantasies that I get some hacker to like wipe the internet clean of my birthday. But so I'm giving you like the dirt here. I My first movie was The Blue Lagoon. I was probably somewhere between 2 and 3 years old. It had come out in Venezuela, that's where I'm from. And things come out at that time too, like a year later, in countries like that, third world
Mm.
countries. Um, the acting is terrible.
I haven't seen that
It's
since
bad. It's
probably I was like 10 or something. But even then, I mean, when me I was because I am older than you, but again, yeah, I'm what my IMDb page says I am. Anyway, but yeah. But I was like that was like a sexy film to me. I was just like,
it
"Ew,
was
whoa,
a
what
sexy
is
film.
this?"
Yes.
But I don't remember the acting so much as opposed to like what's this? Wasn't Brooke Shields in Pretty Baby?
Yes, I think that was her first movie, Pretty
That was her
Baby.
first movie.
Yeah.
That was another sort of sexy and
Was it?
appropriate. Yeah, she grew up in a prostitute house or something like that, a
That's
whorehouse or
right.
something.
My mom told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, things I watched when I was like 7 or 10. Hey, what movie? Any movie between 1940 and 1970 would you remake and cast yourself in?
Okay, girl. So this was like hard because there were so many movies that I liked. My first
Mm-hmm.
one was like Gone with the Wind, of course. Gone with the Wind. I'd be Scarlett O'Hara, you know, doing the black characters obviously more respectfully,
Mm-hmm.
and giving them a slightly different turn, different storyline, and I haven't seen it in a while. I mean, in a
I
while,
haven't
while.
either. My favorite is Betty Davis, but have you? She tried out for it, didn't make it, so she was like, "Fuck y'all, I'm gonna make my own," and
Yeah.
she made Jezebel. Have you ever
Which
seen
I
Jezebel?
have not seen. No, now I want to
Girl,
see
you
it.
need to see Jezebel. I was just like that. To me, that was better, and
Okay.
it had Henry Fonda in it, and her Vivian Leigh got it right.
Vivian Lee, yeah, who
Vivian Leigh.
was who was
Um,
bipolar.
she's bipolar. Oh, I
She was
didn't know that.
bipolar. Interesting fact. Yeah.
Yeah. All I know is Clark Gable apparently had really bad breath.
I
So
heard
yeah.
that he had really bad breath. I so it probably helped her in the scenes that he would like force himself on her and she'd be like
Mm.
kicking him off. I mean, I I love the movie because, and again, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I used to watch
Yeah.
it over and over and over again because she was such a fascinating character. I mean, that was one of the few films, because there's not a lot of films that are really female led, that were female led, and she was like this complicated character, and not just like sweet, pretty girl or whatever, mom or this or that. She was a survivor. She was also, capricious. She was also,
Mm.
superficial. She was also, there
Mm-hmm.
were so many things about her. Like that there was a movie like this with a woman of this depth as the protagonist. The other movie, so that it was that one, but the other one that I love and would love to remake, and just because I love that character too, is The Graduate. The Graduate is one of my favorite movies, and I
What
love
which role?
the
Which
Anne
role?
Bancroft role, of course.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I had a favorite, even though I know that's not what you asked me. I had a favorite for every
For every
decade.
decade.
Yeah, but
For every
but
year.
but 50s with more Sunset Boulevard. I'd love to play that crazy woman who is
Come
Sunset
on,
Boulevard
man.
is so good. And then the 70s, there wasn't like a lot of movies that I found that had really strong female protagonists. Less than it was interesting to me. It was less so. You'd think it as we're getting closer to modern times, but maybe I just wasn't thinking up of them. I looked up at top 100 and I wasn't.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a lot of very macho men
a lot of
time.
macho movies
Yeah.
during that time,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
network,
Oh,
the yeah,
oh,
yeah,
man.
network. I worked, another trivia. I worked, did voice work for Faye Dunaway. She was a trip. I went to her house a couple times to do voice work and then a studio. And then her check bounced. And yeah,
Is, it,
a- and I
is she still with us? She's not with us anymore,
she's
is
still
she?
with us, I
She is
believe.
still
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Okay.
called her assistant, but she was out there like nutty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I called her assistant and but nice, you know what I mean? But just like very erratic and like
Yeah.
would say kind of things that like like she almost accused me of something at one point, like accused me of avoiding her, like I was in a meeting, I couldn't pick up,
Mm-hmm.
and just but joking like ha, 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 like very strange, and then I called her assistant and he's like, look, she's crazy, her check have bounced for everyone, I don't work for her anymore, good
Oh, poor
luck
guy.
getting your money. Like he was just like a beaten down man and I was like, oh damn.
What kind of horror film though? What scares you?
So what scares me
Is it what you
is
can't
like
see or what you do see?
what you can't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are the scary. Because if it's a murder coming, like, I mean, it's terrifying. Of course, in real life, I would be terrified of a murder and it would be the scariest thing ever. But when I'm watching a film, I'm terrified of the things like you can't see that are demonic and whatever. Like the ring fucked me up like for years.
There was a film in the 1970s, and I remember seeing that when I was young, and it's called When a Stranger Calls. Now, only the first half of it was scary. The second half was like, you didn't even need the second half. Should have kept it as a short because the second half
Right.
was like, what the fuck, you know? But the first half was Carol Kane. I don't know if you know who Carol Kane is, but
Of course.
and she's a babysitter. And so the phone just keeps ringing. The kids are upstairs asleep, and it goes, "Have you checked the children?" And she's like,
Oh,
"What?" So she,
yeah.
have you heard that?
I remember. I don't think I saw it, but I've heard of this. It's so famous.
Yeah. And so she hangs up, and then like I'm gonna spoil it because it was like 1972. If you haven't seen it by now, ugh.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I'm not going to say it.
the person just keeps calling, and finally she like calls the cops. She's like, "Someone's harassing me, and I think they're out." Blah blah blah. There's like there's nothing we could do. Calls again. Have you checked the children? Or why haven't you checked the children? And then suddenly she hangs up the phone. The phone rings. This is before we had caller ID. Whatever. The phone rings and there's like, get out of the house. He's inside the house. And like as a kid, you're like, ah! And you see
Oh,
upstairs, you see the door open and she's running to the front door. Like when you try to open it, you can't for some reason. You lose your motor skills when you're scared.
wait.
It was
She
like,
doesn't go to get the kids first?
no, fuck the kids, dude. they, they're not her kids. She's like, no, fuck this shit. No, she
Oh,
was
she's the
babysitting.
babysitter, right? So she's like, oh yeah, totally. Fuck the kids. Yeah. Oh yeah. Nah.
She's like,
Those
bye.
kids are goners. uh, price of doing business.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know how much she was getting paid, but she's like, not enough. See, so this was like painless, right?
This was painless.
What do
This
you
was
what do
great.
you what are you working on now? You working on anything?
What am I working on now? I'm working on something. Well, I'm just helping him develop and like direct here and there. An app that my husband has developed. It's just, how these apps are coming out with short form content. So,
I'm doing something out here. I'm doing a
oh yeah,
verticals.
vertical.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then I'm
it's
doing a night of monologues that actually got pushed. It was supposed to be in March, but now it's going to be in May. Yeah, it's four women doing different monologues. It's just like a night of monologues. And the point of it was also to raise money for the fires.
uh-huh.
I love that you're always doing something. You're always keeping creative, agile, it's impressive. and it's inspired.
Money, whatever sticks against the wall, I'm still like, ugh, okay, something's gonna, something's gonna come, but nah.
Something's gonna stick. It is. It is. No,
But
you're incredibly gifted and creative, and something will stick. You know.
thank you, my love. Thank you. Yes. And
Absolutely.
whatever I do, I will always make sure that you're a part of it or,
Thank
whatever I have for you. Absolutely. So before we go, no
you.
matter
Yeah.
what the question is, there's
Yeah.
this big question in the world. I want you to tell me why, Marie.
Because it's worth it. Because the biggest challenge is your greatest gift, and I think in the end it's all worthwhile, and hopefully along the ride you have some fun. That's why.